I'm not just doing a chair. I am doing something for myself inside. It's, there is something about creating, and, it just kind of feeds the soul. I don't know any other way to say it. I don't know how to put it into words, but yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, it just kind of snowballed from there. And about 4 years ago, I was able to quit my day job, which was a pretty scary thing.
Welcome to Zestful Aging, where I interview inspiring and influential guests who are making their mark on the world and contributing to the common good. And if you'd like to find out more about Zestful Aging, my web courses, and my brand new book, Not Just Chatting, How to Become a Master Podcast Interviewer, hop on over to zestfulaging.com. And while you're there, you can sign up for my monthly email newsletter, The Insider, where you'll get behind the scenes look at my interviews and fun tidbits, including a wide assortment of pictures of my new puppy, Frankie. Our music is courtesy of Judy Banker. You can find out more about Judy at her website, judybanker.com. Well, you know who I've got by my side. I've got Sparky, and my little puppy is sleeping right by my side. Let's begin. I am really excited for our interview today because I think I'm not alone in saying people are beleaguered and languishing, to use the New York Times word. I know people are burnt out and we are all stressed to the max. So I am so excited to talk to you about creativity and fun. And this, of course, is a way to take a break from all the bad news. But as many of you know, creativity is really good for mental health. I have been itching to get into a new craft since I have mastered sock knitting. Lately, I've been looking at polymer clay earring maker, which has caught my eye and looks like a lot of fun. But today, we're going to talk to a master of creativity and fun. Wendy Conklin is the chair stylist, and she specializes in creativity. She helps her clients create surroundings that genuinely reflect their uniqueness, zest, and personality through bespoke chairs and fabric selections. And she teaches others to add color and charm to their lives in many ways. That sounds delightful. Welcome to the show, Wendy.
Thanks for having me, Nicole. I'm excited to be here.
We were just talking about your gorgeous website, and it just really brings you in and makes you just feel energized looking at some of the colors, and what you put together is just beautiful. Tell me a little bit. I mean, it's a bit of, I don't know if this is a fair word, but the chair stylist might be seen as a bit obscure. Can you tell me how you got into making beautiful and unique chair upholstery? Yes.
And it is an obscure word. And I had the hardest time, just as a backstory on that word, trying to figure out, what do I do? Because I don't think of myself as an upholsterer. Yes, I do upholstery, but it's the means to the end, result for me. And I was asking myself, I was asking my family, what am I? What am I? Because I didn't know and I needed a word. And so I finally just came up with, I'm a chair stylist. I style chairs to look amazing, to reflect your personality, So, I have always loved chairs. I don't know why. It's a weird thing to love. And I laugh about it, like, what kind of weirdo likes chairs? But I do. And I was always kind of embarrassed to tell people. And so back, years ago, when Nate Berkus, the designer that kind of worked with Oprah Winfrey, when he had an afternoon talk show, I used to watch it. And one day he was talking about how much he loved chairs and he just buys them everywhere. And I thought, oh my gosh. Okay.
My people.
I'm like, I'm not the only one. Okay. I'm not going to be embarrassed about this anymore, because if he likes them, then that's okay to say. And so back in 2012, I took a couple of upholstery courses. I had always kind of dabbled in upholstery, tried to learn by using books or videos or whatever, just couldn't quite get it. So I took a couple of courses to learn the craft. And I remember being in the class and looking around and thinking, okay, anyone can learn upholstery. This is not rocket science, but not everyone has a really good sense of style. And, so I recognized that as I kind of looked around, and I had another career at the time. I was an educational consultant. I had been a teacher before that. And so I wrote curriculum and I trained teachers in school districts on, how to implement the strategies to help their students. And so I had written a lot of books and done a lot of trainings and stuff, but the little chair business was a side hobby. It was just for fun. And as soon as I finished my upholstery courses, I decided, let's open an Etsy shop. Let's see if I can sell some chairs. And within 2 weeks, I sold my first chair. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, now I have to figure out how to ship this thing. Because it was going from Austin, Texas up to New York City, which is quite a long ways. And so anyway, I figured it all out eventually. And, and that kind of just, once you sell something like that and you think, oh my gosh, maybe this could be something. And so kind of
validating.
Yeah, it was the journey. And so more and more as I began to take on, custom orders from clients and do more chairs and realize, ooh, I could make this into something. And there's such a satisfaction, honestly, in doing something with your hands. And, whether you bake or you garden or you create, whatever you create, there is something that it does to you. You're not just doing a chair in my circumstances here. I'm not just doing a chair. I am doing something for myself inside. It's there is something about creating, and it just kind of feeds the soul. I don't know any other way to say it. I don't know how to put it into words.
And the brain.
Yeah,
it feeds
definitely.
The brain yeah.
So it just kind of snowballed from there. And about 4 years ago, I was able to quit my day job, which was a pretty scary thing because my income is necessary to my family. I have daughters at that point going into college, and now they're kind of both one's in school and the other's doing a master's program. And so it's not like I could just do anything I wanted, and we were going to be okay. That is not, I took a big risk, but I was so miserable in my job. And it wasn't that my job was so bad, because it really wasn't. It was a great job, but it just didn't do it for me anymore. It wasn't challenging to me anymore. It wasn't making me grow and learn the way I needed it to, like it used to, and so.
How did you know, Wendy? Because this is a really important theme for women in our age range, is that they kind of know, but they're not really sure. Things feel a little stale. What were the indicators for you that you had this good job, but it wasn't really feeding your soul anymore? How did you know that?
Oh boy, I was just miserable, honestly. And when you present, like I had to go present to schools, like I had to be on. And I had to bottle up those feelings because I had to put everything I had into my trainings. That's the kind of person I am. I'm not going to half do something. It's going to be all in. I want to do my best. I want to feel proud of what I was doing in my job. And so I kept having to bottle up. But, when I come home, my evenings, my weekends were filled with trying to get my business going. And I remember telling my husband, I was sitting on the side of the bed and I just said, I know I could make this. I know I could do it. I know that I can, except I wasn't I wasn't able to right then. The income wasn't there. I didn't know how to price my stuff. But, it was really, I always say that for me, it was like my misery was greater than the fear of the unknown. Like, yes, there was all that fear. There was all of the, oh my gosh, what if I fail? My family is going to suffer. It was a big risk. And my family has been very, very supportive. They've never pressured me to do anything I didn't want to do. And I'm grateful for that, but I felt the heavy burden myself. I wasn't.
Did you feel like you were bearing it yourself, or did you have a tribe of women or other people that were rooting you on?
No, my friends, my poor friends, they had to listen to so many tears and, see so many tears and listen to so much of, what I really felt. And I even one of my friends, I was working so hard to try to make it work. And I remember one of my friends, saying, I just don't understand why you can't you're so talented. Why can't you make more money doing this? You know, and I know she meant it as a compliment, but it was devastating, you know, to hear it, because it was the truth. And, you know, I had to figure out a lot of things, but, you know, the way I knew, now I was scared to do it. Okay. So this is not, you know, it's not for the faint of heart, but, you know, it's just so at one point I did start meeting with a mentor, and I'd meet with her probably once every 2 or 3 months. And I would slide into the booth and say, okay, I got to figure out a way to get out of this job. You know, I mean, like it was a reoccurring beginning of our meeting together. And, you know, it didn't take, you know, and then finally one time she said, okay, here's what you're going to do. I want to challenge you to just, you know, you need to take a 6-month leave of absence from your work and see if you can get this off the ground. And so I wanted to so bad. I was still very, very scared, but I came home. I talked to my husband about it, and, you know, he was like, well, what do you think? And I was like, well, I'm really scared to do it, you know, but I did. I decided, you know, I have to do this. Otherwise, I just don't want to go on. I can't continue feeling so miserable, you know, and so I did.
At the same time, your kids were leaving for college, perhaps, and being aware of your mortality and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because you're getting older, and you're like, okay, if I don't do this, like, am I going to look back and regret that I didn't at least try? Even if I fail at it, at least I'll know, like, I gave it everything I had. And I think that was, you know, that's how I try to live. You know, my dad had regrets at the end of his life. He wanted to do law school, and he never went back. And I just don't want to live like that. Like, you know, we get this one chance here, and I want to try things, but you have to be smart too. And you got to be careful when you have people depending on you. But, you know, the way I dealt with it was, I thought of, okay, what is the worst thing that could happen to us if I failed? Okay, so we might lose our house. Can I deal with going to a much smaller little home? You know, can I deal with that? I can always go back to my old job. That was another worst thing that could happen, because you know, no one wants to do that. No one wants to go back and ask for their old job back. That's humiliating. But, you know, I thought, okay, those are the worst things that could happen. Can I deal with those? And I decided, okay, I can. You know, I love my house. I don't want to move from this house. We've been in it 10 years, you know, and I was just like, you know, it's, you know, it's the perfect house for us. But, you know, I thought, it's just a house, you know, and I drive old cars and whatever, so that doesn't matter to me, you know. And I mean, like, I can live on a lot less if I need to. And so, you know, it was just really making that decision.
Oh, it sounds like it you had to have courage.
Oh, yeah, very much, very much. Yeah. But, you know, like I said, the misery outweighed the fear of the unknown. And I think that's when, you know, that's when you have to jump. You know, that's when you have to say, okay, I have to do this, because I'm more miserable than I am afraid of what could happen, you know. And I mean, there's no guarantees, but, you know, I'm the kind of person that it just lit a fire under me, and I'm like, okay, I have to make this work. I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to figure it out, you know. So then, you know, a little bit into that journey, I did join a coaching group of women, and that really skyrocketed, you know, my earnings. It helped me in so many ways. It gave me the courage, and then it helped me create my courses. You know, I was kind of pressured into creating an upholstery course for beginners online and by the coach. And I didn't want to do it because I thought, you know, who would want to do this? I mean, there's tons of free videos out there. No one's going to want to learn this from me. But she was like, no, you need to do this. Poll your audience. And I did, and it kind of has taken off. So it's given women, and it's mainly older women doing it, because they're at a point in their life they can do whatever they want. You know, many of them retired. Some of them want to quit their day job like I did, you know, and do something fun and creative, and they find the real joy in creating chairs. And so it's really provided, you know, a great a great thing for older women to be able to do. Now, I have a few younger women in it, but most of them, I mean, the majority of everyone is well over 40 years old. Some are over 50. I even have some 80-year-olds in my course. So, I mean, I hope when I turn 80, that I'm still going to be looking, okay, what's next? What
What's
next?
else? Hi, listeners. A quick interruption to tell you about a powerful tool I actually rediscovered after 15 years that will help you with stress, anxiety, and depression. I'm talking about the meditations from Health Journeys created by trauma expert Bella Ruth Naparstak. When I had to have major surgery many years ago, I listened to these meditations and it was enormously helpful. Health Journeys meditations are a little different than the run-of-the-mill meditations that you can find on apps. They're scientifically created and are used in over 3,000 hospitals. I highly recommend them and I use them myself. You can go to zestfulaging.com or NicoleChristina.com and you will see a direct link. I hope you find them helpful and I'm interested in your experience. Now back to the show. So take me through the process, Wendy. It's funny. I was thinking of our conversation, preparing for our conversation. I drove down the road this morning to take my dogs for their hike, and there was an antique chair on the side of the road, and I'm sure I'm using the wrong word, but the weaving, was broken. And I thought, oh, you could put a pot in there with flowers or whatever. And I was thinking, I wonder what Wendy would do with that. So what's the process for you? How do you find your chairs? Take me through the start to the finish.
Well, I do find a lot of antique and vintage chairs online, like on Craigslist and Marketplace. I love going to flea markets and searching through things. I love junk stores. I do online auctions that are local, and then you bid online and then you just go pick them up when you win the bid. So those are really great things. So I find them all that way. The process, once I get the chair, I start thinking, sometimes I know immediately what I want to do. Other times, I have to sit on it for a while and really think through, what do I want? What could this become? Because, chairs all
sort of kind of open to the chair to tell you what,
because it has a personality, kind of, unless I'm doing a custom order for a client, then that kind of dictates, okay, what's your surroundings? What what is your dining room like, or what's your kitchen like, or whatever? And then we kind of build around that. Or if they have a blank slate, the chairs kind of build the theme of the room and everything else falls in line after it. But
I see.
Yeah. So it's a process of, okay, so once I have an idea, I hunt down fabrics. I take pictures of them. I look at them. I think about them.
And hunt down fabrics means what? Because my sense, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm looking, I made some murals out of stretching beautiful fabrics. They're not always to be found in these stores that are chain stores. Is that fair?
Very fair. In fact, most stores are no longer in existence. I mean, especially even before COVID, this was a problem that many fabric stores were shutting down. So I do have a To The Trade company that is here in my area that I go to and hunt a bunch of fabrics, because they've got thousands and thousands of all brands in there that I can do it. But there's also a boutique fabric store, which I'm so grateful. It's part workroom, part fabric store, but the fabrics they have are so fun and vibrant. So that is rare to find a place. So I do have those two places I can physically go to now.
Because when I looked on your website, I thought, I have never seen fabric like that in Joann's.
Right. No, you won't find that there. I mean, but there's also tons of places online where you can hunt for fabrics. I always say order a sample first before you order yardage, so that really what it looks like in person, because it can be deceiving, looking online. But so, that's an easy fix. Just order samples and be willing to wait a week or so to get them,
Sure.
But then, once you get them, you can start, pattern mixing. You can start, looking at paint. What kind of paint now are we going to go with once we have the fabric chosen? Do we want to add other patterns to it? Like if we have a floral, do we want to add a polka dot? Do we want to add a stripe? Do we want to do some checks? Do we want to do a geometric? What is that fabric kind of telling you that needs to happen on this chair? And what scale do you need as far as the size of the print? If it's going to be a floral, if it's going to be another type of design, the chair really should determine all those things. And then once you pick the fabric determines the paint.
I see. So you kind of, there's a progression. Mm-hmm. Now here's sorry to be ignorant here, but you're not trying to match things like, oh, this is a chair from the 1920s. I have to be correct in terms of historical accuracy.
Yes, I do not do that.
Okay. I didn't think so, because I thought, I'm pretty sure those colors and those are pretty wild. And because this isn't about like restoring it to its
Nope.
It's original. It's actually making something totally different and using it as a starting point.
Right. So you are reinventing that chair. You're giving it a new life. Upcycling chairs is great for the environment anyway, but it also, like I said before, it does something to you when you can create a look, when you can change something that really was not very attractive, quite ugly for some of these, and then transform them. You're transforming the chair, but you're transforming yourself too, and you're transforming your surroundings. It does all three of those things when you make it, and it's fun to think about possibilities, to eliminate. It's like the whole brainstorming process of, okay, we have all these selections. Now let's start using our deductive thinking and, taking some away and then you get down to 2 and then you look at it, you pin them on the chair and you kind of, take your time and you look at it. What looks better?
Live with it a little bit. Now, I am sure you have run up against people saying, sort of the perfectionism, like, oh, I'm not sure, and what if it doesn't work, and it could be really bad. How do you address that? Because I think that gets in the way of a lot of people's creative process.
Yeah, so, I think my answer to that is people should have in their rooms, in their homes, what they love. And if you love it, if it makes you happy, that's what you should do. You shouldn't go by, oh, this is what's in trend, this is what's trending. This is what the designers say you have to have, or this is what my friends expect of me. Or, this is what my husband, won't allow, or whatever it might be, I think you should go with the things that really light you up and bring you joy, and like when I walk into my dining room, it makes me happy. I have a lot of color in there. I've got a lot of different floral patterns on the chairs. I personally love that. It's not for everyone. And so everyone has their own unique taste. And so I like to give people permission to listen to what they love. And who cares if it's correct or not? If they love it and that makes them happy, I can really get on a soapbox about this.
I will tell you a very short, embarrassing story. When I was making some curtains for when my son was a baby, I was in a store with my girlfriend. She reminds me of this occasionally. And apparently I shrieked with glee in a very loud, inappropriate way because I found the perfect fabric. It had frogs on it and some other stuff, but I'm pretty particular and I want to do something a little different. And I had looked at hundreds and hundreds. And, when you see that pattern and when you see those colors, you just know. You don't have to think like, is this a good match with the carpet? You just it's electric.
Yeah, your emotions never lie, and that's why you should listen to them. Yeah.
Aha. Have you noticed that your taste has changed since you've started this? Are you finding that your what you used to get lit up by is a little bit different now?
I think it does progress, just as I see new things, see new fabrics, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is something that could be, really great in the room instead, of what I had. And so, I do change my mind, but it's good that I know how to upholster because I can just change it. It's pretty expensive to go hire an upholsterer. So I can do it very easily. So it's no problem. But I think to some degree, yes, but I think here's what I think it is. I think over the years, I have come into the fact that, or I've, I don't know how to say it, but I finally have relinquished, going with what I love and not being afraid of what other people think. If people, whatever, just not worrying about what other people think, just really going with the thing that I think looks beautiful. And so over the years, yes, that has definitely progressed because, it takes some courage to not worry about that, to paint the walls pink or whatever, you want to do. But when it makes you happy and you realize it's such a little change, it's such a little thing like a chair. And if you put some really fun fabrics and mix and match things and they're bright colored and it's maybe your favorite color and favorite patterns or whatever, if it makes you happy, it's such a little thing. And it's always the little things anyway, that make us happy. It's not the big things like we think anyway. So, being able to do this with my hands, there's that satisfaction, but there's the joy in seeing it day after day. So, yes, I change out my dining room chairs every year, when I think, oh, I really want to go with this other kind of look now. And it's not that I didn't like the other look. It's just, I want something new. I want something different to kind of recharge the batteries there,
Beautiful. So I think what you're saying, and I just, want my audience to hear that this is accessible for regular people, right?
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to have 3 generations of upholsterers and,
No.
So I know that you have online courses. They're basic upholstery, like you get your staple gun and the brads and the foam, and this is how you do it?
Right, yeah, and it's for beginners. So like any of the chairs that you see me do on my website, my dining chairs, simple French armchairs, things like that. I am not going to do any lazy boy recliner. Like that does not interest me at all. And I'm not going to do a great big sofa. I've done things like this and it doesn't make me happy. It's not, I like the quick transformation. So to me, it just takes a little chair to make a big statement in a room. And so that's kind of where I'm coming from. So I'm looking for that quick win. And so that's what I try to teach in my course. So as a teacher, my background is, you need to be able to finish something. So, I take it from a beginner standpoint. Here's how you strip a chair. Here's the tools you need. This is how you repair a chair. Here's how you paint a chair. This is how you hunt down fabrics. I even cover all that kind of stuff. But then we go back to putting it back together. So how do you reupholster the top and how do you do the seat and how do you put on the trim and all those little finishing touches. So it is not rocket science. Anyone can learn this. So I would like to encourage any of your followers who want to learn, definitely take a class. I'm partial to online courses because mine is pre-recorded, so you can always rewatch as much as you need. And the problem with my in-person classes, and the reason why I had to take 2, is because when I get home, I'd be like, okay, wait, what did we do? And even though I took notes and I took pictures, I could not remember. And so, I think if you can get a recorded course, that's better because you can rewatch as much as you need to remind you, oh, here's the step. You do this, you do this, you do this.
I do that with knitting,
Yeah.
You just keep, what? Wait a minute, stop, you're going too fast, replay. That rewind is really, really important.
It is.
It sounds so fun, and I can hear the energy and passion in your voice. I will also say, being a big time thrifter, and we have an episode on that.
Yeah.
You can also find some beautiful fabrics in the Salvation Army on bolts and or like sheets or different kind of textiles that
tablecloths, runners, all kinds of things. Yes.
Oh boy. Listen, oh my goodness. That
it's
is
dangerous.
So much, it does sound dangerous. Wendy, can you tell people where to find you and learn more about this? I love the idea of the quick win. We are all needing a quick win right now.
Yes.
Tell us where to find out more about the beautiful creativity that you're offering.
Well, my website is chairwhimsy.com, and I have a list of my courses on there. Of course, I have my chairs that I sell on there too, and I have a variety of classes. I have my DIY upholstery for beginners, and that's kind of my signature course. But I have a course that teaches just the bottoms, and that's what it's called. I've got a course.
It's like just the tops on the muffins. Yours is
just the bottoms.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I have a course on sourcing swoon-worthy fabrics. And so how do you find fabrics online? You know, if you don't have a trade account, you don't have that. So that's just like a $37 course. And then I've got a chair styling course, and it's a fun little, $19 course that teaches you how to style with fabrics on chairs. It's not upholstery. It's about the styling part of it. And then I have a business course for people who want to flip and do chairs as a business, like what I've done. So, but I have that. And I'm also on Instagram at Chair Whimsy and also Facebook at Chair Whimsy. So they can find me on all those places and Pinterest. So I'm on Pinterest as Chair Whimsy as well. So.
Okay. Wow. Yours is such a visual product.
It is.
I can imagine that you spend a lot of time taking photos of your work.
Oh, yes.
Thank goodness for the smartphone.
That's right.
Well, I am really energized by this conversation, and maybe I'll see if that chair is still sitting on the curb and I can do a little, what do we call it? Trash pick.
There you go.
Some of my best furniture has been trash picked and painted and zhuzhed up, and it is so fun to see. But I have not done too much of what you've done. Mostly I've done tables, so haven't gotten into the upholstery, but boy, does that sound fun. And, it's like, if it doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world.
Oh, no. Like, I make mistakes all the time, and I just redo it. I mean, even if you pick the wrong paint color, you can always repaint it. I mean, it's not a big deal.
Mix it.
Because
it's not like you're.
It's about creating. It's about creating your visual. It's like a painter. What a painter does when they have a blank canvas and they just start creating. They don't have an end goal in mind, but what is coming to their mind. It's the same kind of idea on a chair. So it's just kind of a canvas for art. That's how I look at chairs. They are art in a room. They can be anyway.
Well, it sounds wonderful, and boy, do we need what you have to offer right now.
We all need some fun.
We all need some fun. It has been an absolute blast talking to you, Wendy. I wish you continued success, and I'm just so impressed with your courage to go from, a stable, well-paying job to say that I can't live out my years like this. I need to take a leap, and that's not easy, but it sounds like you figured out a way to bring some courage to that. So
I'm so glad I did it. I'm so glad I did it.
I am so taken by that, and I've really appreciate that. So thank you so much for spending some time with us today, and good luck with all of your chairs.
Thank you so much, Nicole. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for joining us on Zestful Aging. If you like the podcast, please share it with some of your friends. I love to hear from my listeners. Send me an email at NicoleChristina.com. It's no secret that everyone's feeling pretty restless and unsettled right now. Our lives are upside down, and the future is feeling pretty uncertain. But if you're anything like me, organizing my stuff can help me feel a little calmer. It's something I can do to help me feel a little more in control and in charge of my own life. If you think decluttering could help you feel better and you could use a little assistance with that, check out the online course I've developed with professional organizer and designer Carrie Luderin. It's called Too Much Stuff. And Too Much Stuff is different from other courses or articles or guidance you may have used up. We give you clear steps to deal with the clutter and the tools to help you face the overwhelming feelings and the emotions that come up when we're going through our clutter. And a lot of those emotions are just feeling anxious or guilty or just basically flooded with a lot of different confusing feelings. The course is really practical. It's realistic. The lessons are short and punchy, and they're really manageable. We're not trying to set you up for some long exploratory, super in-depth, burdensome experience. We want something really helpful for you right now. We all need help with our anxiety. So being surrounded by more calm and less chaos can really help. So now's a good time to clear out the clutter so we can focus on what's really important in our lives. So find out more at zestfulaging.com. You'll see more about this under the web courses tab. If you have any questions, just shoot me an email at zestfulaging@gmail.com. Thanks so much. And stay tuned next week for another interview with a fascinating and inspiring guest.